a small intrusion into their lives to be a much, much larger invasion of business in their area. It seems to me this plan was in place all along to make this huge business park, and this commission knew it. It seems Mr. Tyler is a regular at these meetings, and I'm sure has shown many of you his plans for this area, and even spoke to some of you personally, because he has been inching his way across these parcels for over 2 years now by buying them one at a time. Anyway, just out because otherwise I'd get pissed.
Excuse me, did we get your name and address?
Judy Jones, 335 North 8 Mile. Do you really think people would not have complained had they known where this was leading? In fact, in the March 2012 meeting, you had a room full of area residents against the zone change of Forestburg's, and you passed it anyway, stating Mr. Forestburg had a right to sell, and I quote Mr. Hendry. And while that may be true, this commission and this developer do not have the right to withhold pertinent information of where this was heading some 2 years ago when Mr. Tyler applied for this first zone change of that 18 acres of Forestburg's. The fact that Keith Tyler has been out there doing this for almost 2 years and had full knowledge of what the current landowners felt just as he did in the 2012 meeting of planning and zoning for Forestburg zone change. He knew then folks were opposed. At no time did he either hold a meeting with them, contact them, or tell them about his plans for out there. Mr. Tyler would have this commission believe something to the contrary by holding a town hall meeting in which his attitude was one of that who was someone going through the motions to try to convince this board that he made any real sort of effort to meet in the middle with these residents. And no one showed up to the meeting, he says, at the planning and zoning meeting, which we all know now, there was probably 50 people in the room for Forestburg's. The fact that Mr. Tyler is now claiming the petition is new evidence and is at best only strengthens the opposition stance on denial of this rehearing. He has had ample time to consult with these folks, 2 years, and so on, 2 years. So on that, I would say you almost have to deny this rehearing if you're going with that as the new evidence. Second, if you're going on the submission of Mr. Tyler's promises of doing buffer zones and berms and covenants, this is nothing more than offers of compromise, and this is not new substantial evidence either, simply because it's only another offer of compromise. There is a difference in Black's Law Dictionary if you guys would like to look at it. I'll quote Mr. Keating here. Keith called me and offers were made. Now, offers of compromise are done all the time, but not at this late stage in the game. The commissioners heard, saw, and read into the record that petition, and the numbers added up to over 50 people in opposition in that zone change. So Mr. Tyler's new evidence is offers of compromise rather than new evidence. They do not fall under the rules of new evidence as required by any hearings, courts of law. Rule 401, test for relevant evidence. A, if any tendency to make a fact more or less probable than it would be without the evidence. B, the fact is of consequence in determining the action. Now, in your own resolution, it states in section P, read, substantial changes, 12-month waiting period, in part or in whole, when a zone change is denied. Okay, I think I'm here to cover as much of that as I possibly can. The new evidence is what he's offering tonight is strictly offers of compromise, guys. He needs to go back to the planning and zoning, wait his year out. He would ask us all to do the same thing. On a last note, you must remember, first this was a small business park, now it's a monster in the makings. Mr. Tyler's had at least 2 years to speak and notify the neighbors, and many neighbors never received any notices of any public meetings of any of this. Leave the last part. Okay, by trying to slide this through the back door like this is based on mere assumptions that anything Mr. Tyler promised the residents is at best a clear lack of doing your duties to protect the citizens of this county. I ask this commission to deny this rehearing, send him back to the planning and zoning with his submission of all his new proposals, And let's do it the right way, guys. Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Jones? Anybody? Okay. Again, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to ZC 14-2 to please approach the lectern.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, fellow commissioners. My name is Dave Phillips. I live at 2661 Forbes Road. And I come before you this evening to speak against the future zone change in the Salt Creek Wardville area due to the uncompassionate respect I have witnessed to homeowners and families living out there. My concerns are many with what I am seeing in the council giving developers the upper hand for industrial parks and changing residential areas and putting residential areas in industrial. We got retired people out there that have worked, built up places, some of them out there 25 years, some of them 50. You all know, you change it to residential, yes, the properties probably go up. So will the taxes. These are older people. A lot of them don't want to try to start over again in another place. They like where they're at. But with residential park place going in there, then that's taken some more ground that was good viewing, if I may use that term, away from those that can see past North Plains transportation and whatnot. It is this lack, it is lacking a lot of common sense, the way that it looks to a citizen of Natrona County for 64 years, which is me. My question to the council is, why can't industrial parks be away from residential areas farther than 500 feet? It's called an encroachment. When the council starts pushing the residents out of an area that they've been in for 50-some years, that's encroachment, the way I read it in the dictionary. By allowing these abuses to our own zoning regulations, which is in opposition to the very people it is supported to protect. All it seems like to me is we are allowing the systematic demise of agricultural lands, residential lands for drive-through, by-through parkways, park developments that stand empty for months and even years. And I just please encourage you, sirs. There's a lot more that goes along with this rezoning than just rezoning each little quadrant to meet somebody else's specs. Now, the landowner before Mr. Boise, when we came up here, when Larry came up for his change, said he wasn't going to let his land go that way. But the developer being the landowner now, then that changes the picture, and that isn't right. I don't care how much money he's got. That isn't right monetarily for the people that are there, that have been out there for a long time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Phillips? Thank you. Again, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to ZC 14-2, please approach the lectern.
Hello, Councilman Chairman. My name is Susan Graham. I live at 141 West 10th. And in regards to new evidence that was presented in the land use plan, the master plan, I've spoken in past about the way that the land use plan has been foisted upon the citizens of Natrona County without their active participation in how the land will be used. Rather, land use plans are created by stakeholders without true citizen input. So I object to referencing the land use plan as new evidence. Also, a question for the developer, and this just shows my ignorance in regards to covenants. The promise of the compromise that the covenants will present, how much input do the neighbors have? Should the developer decide with his tenants to change the covenants?
Yep.
That would be definitely a place of concern for the neighbors. The third point I'd like to make is, in having reviewed the minutes from the last meeting of this commission, the commissioners, Mr. Wingerter, I read that you had said that it was a tough place to be. And I think in response to Mr. Pat, I'm going to say his name incorrectly, that it was a tough place to be. And moreover, later in your comments, you had laid the blame at the feet of the citizens for having elected you as our representatives and it's in the minutes, as the protector of our rights, which is the proper role of government. And if you take an oath of office to uphold the Constitution, and in the court of public opinion, it's tough to either do the right thing and uphold your word, your oath, or do the wrong thing. And then you don't stand in the public court of opinion, but you stand in a higher court for not keeping your word. Do you have any questions?
Questions, anybody? I would invite Mr. Tyler to address the covenant change.
And the citizens' input into possible covenant changes down the line.
Mr. Tyler, where do we lose
That's
you?
unusual.
Susan? Yeah. Would you care to address the comment on the covenant?
Well, input that the citizens
Do you want me to
have
do that
to
now?
possible changes.
I'm sorry?
Do you want that now?
I think
Yeah,
you ought to wait until the
it
end.
I do
was
too.
due to her comments, so if you would.
We didn't get to voice our opinion when he was speaking. Why don't he wait until the end until we get done speaking?
Correct.
I'll run the meeting. Mr. Tyler, please.
But if I could restate the comment, the question is not possible changes to the covenant, but what kind of input would the voice of neighbors have should the covenants be changed away from this compromise position?
Mr. Tyler, please.
I'm happy to address the neighbors if they come to me and want to talk about the covenants. We'll make those covenants so that they are between those property owners and the development. They can't be changed without their approval. It's typically what a covenant provides. With certain of the other covenants within the management and operation of the industrial park, they are subject to change by a vote of the landowners in the development. The covenant that's given between the project and the adjacent neighbors would not be subject to the same amendment change. But it needs to be drafted as a separate document, which I'm happy to do.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner Dow.
So what I think I heard is your offer of covenants, the bullet points with specific limitations, could be drafted into a document that was binding on all future enterprises for that industrial park.
And binding to those neighbors.
And binding also the neighbors. Thank you.
So they have the right to enforce it. It can't be changed without their approval.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Tyler.
Commissioner Hendry.
One other question. It was stated that the public didn't have any influence in some of your covenants.
They're all the results of their influence or their input. They didn't do any of these provisions without considering what they had indicated either at the public hearing or in the petition or at the neighborhood meeting.
Okay,
I modified certain things to address concerns over dust. I put a lot of restrictions on the property that I'm willing to do to address their concerns about high impact operations that might occur next to them. The kind of neighbors they could expect to have up there are maybe a subcontractor like a GW Mechanical or Sheet Metal Specialties that needs a good yard, a metal building, and good access to all of Casper. This is a good central location, and it'll serve that kind of user. Okay.
At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition of ZC 14-2 to please approach the lectern.
My name is Linda Bergeron. I live at 2352 South Kaufman Avenue. I have deep concern about this process. First of all, when I asked you about what you proposed, Matt, I felt that you were unaware really of what you were asking.
How so?
Because you read it again and then you gave me the paper. And what I'm asking that we hold high esteem toward is the integrity of our system of government. We have the most amazing government in the whole world. It was put together in such a way that it protects property rights, it protects our whole life, actually, and it's amazing. And the more I study it, the more I find how our checks and balances in our system are everywhere. And you all are in a seat of honor. You're in a seat of honor to represent the people. And my biggest, most profound concern here is that we protect the integrity of our system of government. The people came before this Board of County Commissioners. They came with concerns for their property rights. Government is put in place to protect the property rights of citizens. We are nothing without the ownership of property in this country. Countries that do not have ownership of property end up being servants to a tyrant or a king. So I ask that you put highest in your decision making this evening the very thing that's before you in this whole situation, the integrity of our government. This is out of order. Had the whole people, everyone that signed that petition, come that night to speak, nothing would have been different. You all made a decision. This new evidence is not different than any other case. And when I read chapter 10, which you noted in your reason for asking for a new hearing to change your vote, chapter 10 states that the decision of the Board of County Commissioners stand unless there is new evidence that is extremely powerfully new. This new evidence is no different than if every one of those petitioners came that same night, spent all your time and spoke individually. I find no difference in the evidence. Now, in studying this more carefully, it refers me to Wyoming State Statute 18-5-202. When I read that, that is how the county commission will handle itself. In a situation where a decision has been made by the county commissioners, that decision stands for 1 full year unless the applicant goes to the Supreme Court, where it can be changed there. Now, I also called Cindy Hill, because Cindy Hill has been through an extreme amount of litigation, and I respect the woman very, very much, because she stood firm against powerful, powerful opposition. The same thing happened with the Amicable Reuse Board, where the evidence was heard by the people at the slip board. The people spoke against it. There was a decision made. Then came back a petition with new evidence. That petition for new evidence, the slip board allowed restructuring of the Amico area with infrastructure financed by the slip board. What we're doing here is creating a precedent in our government, and I don't like it. I want the integrity of our government to stand firm. Our government is being destroyed by powerful special interests. And I'm asking you all to stand firm on your decision for that reason and that reason alone. Because what Cindy Hill told me is the only recourse that I would have would be to sue. Do we want to create that kind of situation for people that come before a board of county commissioners elected by the people? Elected by the people to serve and represent the people? And what I hear here over and over and over again in this rebuttal is the master plan, the master plan. Well, I tell you what, my life has pretty much been turned upside down by government not following a rule of law. I would like to do other things, I really would.
So would I.
But I feel that I'm here to protect the future of my granddaughter. And consider that carefully, because y'all probably have grandchildren. And we want to leave those grandchildren with a system of government that's precious and well preserved. Now, a developer, you know, I respect what Keith Tyler did. I really do. I'm impressed by what he did. But what I see here tonight is our system of government being very gradually check and balance, check by check by check, being eaten away by grant money. And that was mentioned also. I can get a $5 million grant easier than I can get a $15 million grant. Talking about a road. You know, I respect what Keith Tyler did. I'm not, you know, that's how the closed sessions work. We should have people, you know, that can, both sides, be able to approach a board of county commission. It's important. So I'm just asking that you carefully consider what's happened here. It's really not about this land. It's about just making sure we do the right thing with what's been put in your hand. Our great system of government, please, please do the right thing. Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Bergeron? Okay, once again, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to ZC 14-2 to please approach the
I'd like to present a petition of people who are against this. Who gets this? My name is William Hackney, 11870 West Zero Road. I keep hearing this word, new evidence. The only thing that I heard that was new was these compromise of what the developer would do. Everything else is public record, and it was not difficult to get. So all of that is not new information. So as far as I can see, that we shouldn't even be here because there is no new evidence. There's older retired people out there. They've lived there for a long time. They like to sit out on their porch, drink coffee, read their paper. You get industry in there, there's going to be noise. You get a pipe yard in there, a truck comes in, it drops a drill collar. I worked in the oil industry. When you drop a drill collar on a pipe rack, it makes a lot of noise. That can happen. It can be an accident. It's a lot of noise. That person is going to be disturbed because he's out there and wham, pipe's going to drop down. Not alone, industry typically runs 24/7. They could be sleeping when that drill collar hits the pipe rack or whatever else there is in industry. Industry makes noise. Residents don't. If you're in a residential neighborhood, after 10 o'clock, there is noise requirements you cannot go above. There's hours. I think it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, from like 10 o'clock at night till 7 o'clock the next morning, you can't make noise. There's a certain amount of noise. If you do, they turn you in. These people are going to have to put up with that. So if we let this industry come in to this area that has previously been zoned non-industry and change it to industry, these people that live there, their dream of being able to live without noise, without some kind of pollution, whether it be noise, lights, whatever, that disturbs their way of life, that's what's going to happen if we allow this industry to go in there. Industry is not quiet. It's not like you living in your own neighborhood. You wouldn't like drill collars being dropped when you're sound asleep at night. You wouldn't like lights shining that might happen to reflect off of a truck or a sign or whatever. Even though it's pointing down, a truck drives through, you got a mirror there. It could shine on that mirror, shine over into somebody's bedroom, wide awake. So you're allowing this industry to come in and change